Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host Gamer K, and it is time for the final video of October, which means, sadly, Villain Month is coming to an end, ladies and gentlemen, at least for this year. And normally I would do another top 13 villain list, or do a Funko figurine of a villain I have, or do something, again, villain related. But here, I'm going to be doing something different. Because this is the month of October and Halloween is literally around the corner, seriously, it's 4 days once this video, or less when this video is released. One thing I do not like, one thing I like about Halloween, but nothing I really, as much as a bunch of my pals are, is, it did show the correct footage, right? Hang on, let me try again. There we go. One of my favorite YouTubers, ladies and gentlemen, and always a laugh seeing him jump out of his seat. The scares are one thing I don't do a lot of, and especially in media, with movies, TV shows, video games. I am very easily scared, and I don't take pleasure in jump scares. And that is why a good majority of games I play that are very popular, I don't want to play them because I am very easily scared, as said. But somehow, within the last good couple of years, scare sections or parts of a video game that I find very terrifying seem to creep their way into the seemingly pleasant and okay of games. And there are always moments like this that will always make me terrified in certain segments. So, to end the month of October and end Villains Month, we're going through Gamer K's top 13 terrifying game sections. Now, I want to clarify a couple rules. Obviously, one, only games I've played, because it doesn't make sense for me to review something I've never done myself. Second, one slot per game series. So, whatever I'm going to be talking about is for that particular series and game. Also, these were the moments that absolutely terrified me. It may not have terrified a lot of the other people who play it, but fear is in the eye of the beholder. Yes, I know it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but it's fear in this version. So, get ready for Gamer K's top 13 terrifying game sections. And why top 13? Because here at the Game Hub, only the odd can be number one. Start off. Telltale, aren't you a beautiful gem of a creation? And yes, I am aware Telltale is back and working on their next project. But right now, I'm going into a series that I had no information on, but it's a popular series, and they did a spin-off game on it. I'm talking about Tales from the Borderlands. Yes, I played it, and it was fantastic. Now, Tales from the Borderlands, for those of you who aren't familiar, is a spin-off on the Borderlands series, which is an FPS game with a whole bunch of crazy characters that, let's face it, even Alice in Wonderland would fit right at home with this. Actually, could they do an Alice in Wonderland? No, I'm not giving them ideas. But anyway, in the Tales from the Borderlands, it is basically the classic click-and-point adventure game that Telltale has been known for. So much so that they made a joke about it in Sam and Max and the Devil's Playhouse. But going on to the scary part of this game, it comes from episode 1 of the game, Zero Sum Game, if I'm remembering that episode name correctly. Basically, during the first bit of the game, you play as Reese and his best friend Vaughn on Pandora trying to make a deal in order to get a device that will lead to, we're not 100% sure at this point, but it's some mystical artifact that we're bringing money. And we stole this deal from Patrick Warburton, of all people. It doesn't matter what he is, he'll always have a fantastic voice for a character. But the part is this, once we get through the first part of the section of the game, and we're going into this this house of curiosities or something, this room of curiosities thing, where it shows a whole bunch of Pandora of Borderlands characters and their whole it's like a wax museum basically. And we see one of this creepy dude, Shade, and yeah, he does look creepy. Yeah, and then when we get to the end of the door. The one thing I gimmick about this section is that only once you go in front of the wax figures will you see the light shine on them. Otherwise, it's dark. And once you realize the door is locked, you got to go back. And then you realize the Shade one isn't there. And as you continue forward, the screen is dark, and then Shade's face pops out of nowhere. And and it definitely gave me one of the few jump scares I've had in my life. And so much so, yes, I wanted to punch Shade. Unfortunately, we don't get that opportunity until basically we're playing as Fiona. And, it's such a joy to punch this idiot. I swear to God, if any more Telltale games, or any games in general, do a jump scare like this, be warned, I will punch your character. I don't care. Oh, it's low on the list because it doesn't have a lasting effect on me. Like, once you punch him, and once you get through this episode, Shade's never seen again, and I'm honestly happy about that. So, let's continue on, shall we? Okay, now this one's going to be a little bit weird for a majority of you, but this was basically a childhood fear of mine. For those of you who don't know, I've been watching CSI ever since I was 11. And playing the video games a little bit later, but my sister always played them. And I know what you're going to say. A CSI game is on your terrifying sections list? I know it's weird, but allow me to explain. This section comes from the second game of the CSI games, which would be Dark Motives. And it has that kind of point-and-click thing that's not really well developed. I mean, it is developed. But it comes in the last case, Dragon and Droppings, where we are looking for a missing Komodo dragon and a idiot security guard. Upon collecting all the evidence and finding the second case's victim and our missing security guard in a coffin at a funeral home, we go in to get the warrant for the owner, for the guy, Victor Kaufman, because obviously he's our guy. But Brass says that he's not there, so where's a crazed homicidal mortician goes when his life's work has become unraveled? And of course we go to the doctor who's been helping him with his scheme to collect all of his deceased wife's organs. And it's one of the few confrontations of CSI that's actually that creeped me out as a kid, because the guy's there holding a syringe with toxins in it right to the doctor's neck. And okay, honestly, when I was younger, I didn't know you couldn't, if you messed up in a video game. I didn't know that you couldn't mess up in a video game, especially one like this that's very linear. So just the confrontation with him just creeped me out as a kid, and it gave me a lot of nightmares as a kid. And yeah, I know it's lower on the list for that reason, because I didn't know that you couldn't mess up and the guy would lunge at you or something. Although nowadays video games will do that to you if you mess up, so guess my fears were justified. Confronting Victor Kaufman is definitely one of the lowest parts of the list, because I grew out of that fear once I realized these CSI games can't hurt you and it's not going to get scary. So yeah, it's more of a irrational fear I had about this game. So yeah. Now this is definitely a section where it is scary as entertaining. The Wolf Among Us. Wow, two Telltale games on this list. Not bad. The Wolf Among Us was definitely the best game of Telltale. And yes, I am definitely on board for the second season when it's finally out. Fighting Bloody Mary is honestly one of the coolest fights in any point-and-click adventure game. because it's well choreographed and it's definitely got that creepy vibe. Because Bloody Mary is, by us, again, one of the creepiest characters ever to come out of the Fable universe. Because, I mean, I've never heard of Fables until I played the game. And then, yeah, she is definitely creepy. And her monster form is creepy as well. Basically a kind of creepy husk-looking creature with glass throughout her body. And every time she steps, it sounds like crunching glass. And there's a whole bunch of copies on her. Given also the fact that during this fight, it's kind of a jump scare QTE section where you got to avoid her attacks and find out the correct path to go and beat her. And you will get it's one of those boss fights that I wish were as in other games, just to elevate the fear a little bit. Like, you need to be on point, but because she could come out of anywhere. And then she creates multiple copies of herself. And it gets a little more annoying fighting them off. And then Big B gets to transform into a giant wolf. And the battle isn't easy still, but it still litigates some of the terror. Again, the reason it's so low on the list is because once you start fighting as the big wolf and you're not in the enclosed, tight spaces of the melting of the factory, the fear kind of goes away. That's where Bloody Mary is at her most terrifying, when it's in close quarters and she can kind of quickly move around. And despite what happened in the end of the battle, I don't think this is the end we'll see of Bloody Mary. I'm pretty sure of it. Okay, yes, another irrational fear I had as a kid, and this comes from the Spyro games, Ripto's Rage in particular. Because now that you think about it, how many games were the first one, water is the most toxic thing in the world, and then the second game, we finally learn how to swim? Aquaria Towers definitely had one of the most not the most terrifying, but definitely a fear. Like, I mean, if you think about it, we as kids had this irrational fear of swimming pools, that there were sharks in the deep end. Tell me some of you did not. So, when there's giant robot sharks in the water and you have to avoid them and you're worried that if you make one small mistake and you fall into the water, they're going to come at you. Yeah, that fear kind of is justified. Wasn't until later in life that I realized that once you get the power up, you can just go in there and destroy the sharks. And yeah, again, the ones on the bottom of the list are more irrational fears and kind of one-step fears. So that's why they're on the lower part of the list and why I'm not going to talk about them so much. But yeah, the metal sharks were definitely an irrational fear, because if regular sharks in a swimming pool wasn't bad enough, how about robot sharks that you can't do anything about until you get the power up? Yeah. Next. Really? Okay, fine. Okay. Now we're getting into the sections of a game that made me either want to do one of three things. Turn the game off and run for dear life. 2, turn on all the lights in the house just so I feel safe. Or 3, throw the controller at the TV so it can't get at me. And the first one to start off this group of fear is the Doc chapter from Heavy Rain. First time I'm talking about Heavy Rain in a good long while, and I'll probably review it next year. But the Doc level is where Madison has to infiltrate the Doc's house, and this Doc seems like a good guy. Seems. And there are many ways that this chapter can go wrong. For a good majority of the time, do not drink the drink. This Doc is creepy, he's weird, and he's possibly involved with the origami killer, so do not drink the drink. You do that, and the scene will go a little bit quicker. For one thing, we won't be able to investigate the house, and we'll end up in the creepy basement. Yeah, quick time. Yeah, games where you have to have quick time event sections constantly in order to escape the psychopathic doctor. Yeah, it's definitely one of the creepiest scenes of the game. At least for me, where you got to be really careful about what button you press. And all in all, give it to the company who makes the Heavy Rain and all the other games that they do. They know how to induce fear into even the most, okay, I'm not manly, even the most seasoned video game veteran. But yeah, the Doc chapter gets lower on the list because it does come up later in the game. There's not really a section like it unless you played the DLC, the taxidermist thing, which, all honesty, is kind of simple. And yeah, it's definitely creepier, but I never played it, so the Doc chapter gets on the list. And I'm going to say this. If this guy wasn't in the game, I don't think Heavy Rain would have any terrifying moments. Just going to say. Man, I'm really not doing well with these ones, but hopefully the next one I'll have more to talk about. Okay, I take it back, I take it back, I take it back, I take it back. There is plenty to talk about this next one, and I do not like it. The Sherlock Holmes video games, again, are some of my favorite video games. And with the new one coming out next month, I can't wait. But the last one, The Devil's Daughter, definitely gave me something just the spine tingling, and it's the final case of the game, Fever Dream. After finding out Kate, which is basically Sherlock's adoptive daughter, has been missing, we go up to Alice's room and we confront the woman. And dear God, her room is dark and creepy and just, oh my God, just talking and doing that, like, analyzing her thing is just creepy enough. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Just thinking about it's creeping me out. Like, seriously, this woman is crazy and terrifying. Like, oh my God. And then trying to figure out what's missing in the room to when we were there before to now. And just, again, being in the same room as this woman is terrifying enough. Thank God Watson's here to keep an eye on her so she doesn't try anything. And then once we discover what we need to do, we're off to the cemetery at night. One of my favorite things in video games. Cemeteries and nighttime. I'm obviously kidding, of course, because I hate them. And especially this one, where we need to pinpoint certain graves in order to find the tomb that she brought Alice to. And if it doesn't get any, and if Alice herself and the whole atmosphere of the case, because it's kind of a quick-paced final chapter, if it's not creepy enough, we go into this crypt where Alice brought Kate and did this somewhat seance ritual, and then we go into the room that's there, and we find her dead father's corpse. Very Norman Bates, where there's a bed where Alice sleeps. I don't care if she's a seance woman or whatever. Even Norman Bates would think this is going a little overboard. And then we go into the crypt of our sworn enemy, Moriarty, where Kate finds out that that's her real father. Yeah. And then we try to get out, and then all to discover that the door is locked behind us by Alice. And just, okay, again, listening to this woman talk to us behind the door while we're in a crypt is, again, one of the creepiest things ever in this game. Oh my God. I know I'm babbling a lot about this, but I'm just trying to set the mood for this. Yeah, the Fever Dream chapter of Sherlock Holmes and the Devil's Daughter is definitely one of the few moments where I just wanted to is an example for me of a level to have all the lights on so you don't feel like something's creeping behind you. And oh, okay, can we just skip to the next one, please? I'm done. Finally, something not so creepy. And I'm wrong, aren't I? Detroit Become Human. For those of you who've played the game, you know basically what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's the Zlatko chapter. Basically, Kara and Alice are, look, seriously, there's a lot of Alices on this list for some reason. Why is that? Find shelter from a robot who says Zlatko can help. And looking at this place, I don't think he can help anyone. It's a giant mansion, and we meet the big guy who joins us later. I don't remember his name because it's been so long. But basically, we go into the basement where there's cages and all these mangled up androids who look like Sid from Toy Story got his hands on them. And then it's revealed that Zlatko is erasing our memory and keeping Alice hostage. One of two things can happen depending on how good you are. One, you get rebooted and become his servant while remembering things and breaking free. Or you break free of the machine first and then release the creepy androids, because it's going to make one heck of a scene once you get to the end of the chapter. If you thought the toys turning on Sid was terrifying, was a terrifying scene, this is it for adults. Yeah. And also there's a mechanical polar bear that we can free to help us out too. This is the reason that this is a little bit higher and a little bit at the middle of the list is because it's one of the sections of video games that I despise immensely. It's the hide and seek cat and mouse kind of thing, where you gotta hide, get everything you can, while all the while not having this guy find you, because it raises your pressure and raises anxiety to a good degree, at least for me it does. But yeah, hiding in certain rooms, making sure you're not found, and just the creepy atmosphere about it just makes this chapter definitely worthy of my terrifying list. And I hope I don't have to play a section like that in any future game in recent years, hopefully, and for the next couple of years at least. Okay, this is an irrational fear I have always had in video games, and it's never going away, because I think a good majority of people can agree that underwater segments in video games are honestly terrible, for a couple of reasons. One, you can't use your weapons or anything, so you can't fight off whatever's down there. Two, you will have a breath meter where you need to be careful and manage your time in order to get to the next air source. And three, quite possibly, jump scares from dark places. Assassin's Creed Black Flag has all of this. I'm surprised to have one of my favorite games. I mean, a good majority of these are my favorite games. But to have such a critically acclaimed game and a fan favorite have a terrifying section. Yes, it's the underwater segments in the entirety of Assassin's Creed Black Flags. Because, for reasons I've stated, you don't have your weapons, so you can't do nothing against the eels, the jellyfish, the sea urchins, and the sharks. Oh my God, the sharks! When did they become the smartest things in the ocean? Mostly because you got to go deep into the water in order to find all the treasure chests and all the little things there, because I'm kind of a perfectionist. And it even gets worse when you're in the cave areas and you're going throughout the seaweed and the eels just jump out and bite onto you. And you can't do anything. And just that added jump scare from the eels that makes this a little bit higher on the list. And also the sharks. We can hide in the seaweed and wait for them to go, but it's just that sense that they're right above you and they could attack you at any moment. And then you have to get to the water, to the barrels and the diving bell in order to be safe. Oh my God! If I swear to God, if there's I mean, in later games, the Assassin's Creed did underwater sections where there's not really that many animals to deal with, and there's not certain sections where it's just the overall water of the entirety of the area. So there's not that much to deal with, but yeah, Black Flags will continuously be one of my big games that if I ever play again, I'm always dreading the underwater levels because of I don't have severe aquaphobia, but in video games, I don't like it. Okay, this one definitely had me when I was a teenager. Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions is a very underappreciated game because of its 4 different universes with its different villains and different versions. It's impossible to say which one I don't like the most. Oh wait, yes I can. It's frickin' Vulture. In Act 2, for the Noir level, we find out that Adrian Toomes, aka Vulture, isn't so high-tech. He's basically a circus freak that looks like a vulture. And the fact that Steve Bloom voices him. Is that correct? Bloom is Vulture in the game, and I kind of hate you for it, Steve. But again, at the same time, I love it that you were Hobgoblin. So basically, the reason this is such a creepy section is the parts where Vulture jumps out of the background and gets real up close to him, and you can see all the little textures in his face, and when he tries to bite you, oh my god, it's literally like having a circus freak be right in your face, but it's the creepy serial killer kind. And then his boss fight is a little bit creepy because you can always find him and shine the light on him, but it's not until he gets the tablet power of teleportation that he can just teleport right behind you and then get right in your face. The fact that he's glowing gives his face a little bit more of the textures of the creepy skin, and it's just, oh my god. Anytime I'm seeing this featherless freak up close, I'm always terrified. Again, every time I replay this game, it's always Vulture's level that I always don't want to do. Like, oh my god, I just can't. I just can't. Can we continue, please? You know, I was originally going to put the pacification area in Arkham Asylum, you know, where Joker releases the crazy inmates and they come out of nowhere half the time. I mean, unless you use detective vision constantly, then you can see their skeleton, then you can see them through the walls and stuff. I was originally going to put that on this list, but I found an even better scare in the Arkham series. Basically, every jump scare in Arkham Knight. Yeah. Everything in this game makes you almost just, oh my, I can't even. For the most part of this game, you are having fun, but then other times you get the jump scare of a lifetime and you do not want it. Whether it's Joker revealing that he's alive and scaring the crap out of people, replaying the game once you beat it, for that scene when Joker's being cremated, for him to jump out and laugh at you and just literally giving you a scare. Whether it's you playing as Jim Gordon in first person and looking throughout the chambers, and then Batman's right behind you without a worry, and I don't like stuff like that. From grappling up to the high rise and then Bat just screams at you and just scaring the ever-living out of you, to the last bit of the game where you're in FPS as Joker and destroying the Batman statues, and then they keep popping up and you're terrified, and then Batman comes out of one of them and beats you. Like, every jump scare in the Arkham Knight game has cause to be on this list. So I'm just throwing them all into one batch and giving it to you free of charge, because every jump scare even the one where you're grappling again and it's Joker that pops out and laughs at you for some reason I can't even remember. It is definitely, again, when I replay this game, normally there are sections where I will regret trying to replay a game. But it's every little jump scare in this freaking game that gets me. I am just so glad that I never have to deal with. I mean, again, to be fair, with Scarecrow being the main villain, for them not to put this many jump scares in the game would be a wasted opportunity. I just wish that there were a little bit more jump scares peppered in throughout other sections of the game. Did I just say that? Huh, I guess I must be going insane after a while. Okay, we're in the top 3, and this one is definitely one that definitely makes me want to. Okay, I'm gonna be honest with all you guys. This one right here was the only one outside of the Arkham Knight jump scares that actually had me playing the game. And again, I was playing it in my room when my PlayStation was in my room at the time, and it was at night. It was one of the few times where I jumped and I almost lost my controller. It almost went to the floor. Judgment is, again, one of my favorite games from the last 3 years, and the sequel is fantastic as well. I'm going to be reviewing it next year. But the one thing I hated about Judgment, the first one, was the side mission, The Ghost Tenant. Basically, this guy's apartment is supposedly haunted for some reason. So, Yagami, the main character that you are, goes to investigate the apartment at night. And then we kind of do the looking through the area to find certain things. And then the lights go off. And then when the lights go back on, we see Yagami first. And then we see someone dressed in white with a long black wig who resembles the woman from The Ring. I'm never watching that movie. And just seeing her just, I hate scares like that. And then they look at us, scream, and then we run, and then it runs. Just seeing this thing once the lights come on is definitely one of the reasons it's higher on the list. And it was, again, one of the few times that I actually got scared enough to almost throw the controller out of my hands. And then it's revealed that's the dude's girlfriend who wanted to surprise him with the horror thing because they're both into horror. And all I can say is, it was a match made in friggin' heaven. Just keep them away from the third game, please. Okay. This one is an entire level. Whereas a good majority of these, what's the word? Sections on the list have been certain sections, and Vulture's level was basically all the scenes where he jump scares and comes right at you. This is an entire level where my anxiety went right through the freaking roof. The Ghostbusters video game. No. Get that out of here. Get that out of here right now. Yeah. I'm talking about the 2009 Ghostbusters game. You know, the good one, which is basically Ghostbusters 3. The third last level of the game, Return to the Hotel Sedgwick, is the second creepiest, most terrifying, spine-chilling, most anxiety-inducing level in the history of the game. Especially for those who have arachnophobia. I don't, but I don't like spiders. So basically, after the first half of the game, when you get the power back on, we're looking for the 13th floor, the node of the mandala. I'm not going into the whole story. But once we get rid of the chef ghost in the kitchen, and we see this figure of a woman with a man, and I will admit, the woman does look kind of good looking with the little dress, the spider tattoo on her back, except she's holding a knife. And then we find out the legend of the Spider Witch, a woman who brought men up to a room on the 12th floor and did unspeakable things to them. And I know what a good majority of you are thinking, not the kind of unspeakable things that you would write about to your friends, the kind of unspeakable things that are just terrifying. And throughout the level, we get the spider-themed enemies. We get the we get the spider crawler, we get the web fiends, all spider-themed because, yeah, why not? And then, so it's 4 of us, including you, the character, are there. And to go up to the to the 12th floor to find the 13th floor, the room where we need to find, we decide to send me and Egon alone. And it's terrifying, especially since once we get up there and we go into the said room, everything is twisted and the room is filled, the whole floor and the area are filled with cobwebs, bundled up like mounds. And then we hear what this woman did. She murdered men, and she was a member of the Gozer worshiping cult, and she would pile up the bodies and shoot up furniture in the corner like a nest. And then when we go into the room, we see the bodies hanging in spider webs, and then we get to the boss fight where the hotel morphs into this giant spider's nest, and it's full of corridors that with some of the elevators and to make it see that you're still in the hotel. And then she's crawling all around the walls, and you have to, oh my God. The Spider Witch is quite honestly one of the creepiest bosses I've ever faced. And oh my God. And yes, she has her upper half being the female that she is. I don't know why I did that. And then the rest of the half is a spider. And she's just, oh my God, it's just so creepy. And she'll constantly send spider crawlers at you. I swear to God, anyone with arachnophobia, avoid this level of the game. Get your friend or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or anyone who's brave enough to fight this witch. And it makes it worse. Like, it's just you and Egon fighting her. And when he's down, you have to find him and heal him before she gets you. I'm talking about this a lot because it's the creepiest level. And it's also worse that once she's depleted on health, she will find a spot around the nest, and you will have to use your PKE meter to find her and stop her from regenerating, or else this boss fight will take forever. Oh my God. I'm going to look up YouTubers who have done spider-themed boss fights, and if she's not on the list, you guys have no friggin' clue what you're doing, because she is the creepiest spider boss. I guarantee it. Okay, enough of this. Okay, yes, I know I enjoy the spiders joke, but this is taking it too far. We have reached the final of my terrifying game sections. Now, this game I got into last year, and it's a Nancy Drew game. Yeah. The creepiest Nancy Drew game. I mean, a good majority of them have fake out jump scares that always get me and always hate. Especially it's near the end where the culprit goes at you and it's just absolutely creepy, and I hate it. But the Nancy Drew game that made me become terrified more than any other is the 3rd game in the series, Nancy Drew, Message in a Haunted Mansion. And I know what you're thinking. Well, Vulture's level was basically any section with him, and the Return of the Sedgwick was anywhere with the Spider Witch and everything. So what's about this game that makes it the number 1? It's the whole game! That's terrifying. Because throughout this game, we are doing simple chores, and then throughout the game, we'll hear whispers, we'll hear creaks, we'll see things go through the windows. There's a freaking seance. Letters will be sent to us telling us to get out. Obviously, the horror element and the threatening don't even match up to who's working it. And the fact that this game is, again, in first person, point and click to move, every time even after we find out that it's all a scam and everything, just playing this whole game, worrying that there's going to be something behind you, and just hearing the voices and everything, it just stresses me out to no end. And one of the things that makes it the number one on the list is it's not like it's only in one specific spot in the game. Also, we have to go up to the attic. We have to go down to the basement. We have to sneak around everyone's rooms and everything and not get caught. It just increases the fear for me, at least. And again, it's the creepy noises, the creepy sounds, the creepy visuals that make this game one I'm never playing again. I played it once. That's it. That's enough. So yeah, the entire game of Message in a Haunted Mansion definitely gets up there. And considering it's one of the first games in the Nancy Drew series, I give them props for making it as creepy as possible. And that's it for this month, for this video, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed this terrifying video, and I'm glad you guys seeing me get terrified. I hope you all enjoyed it, because I'm never doing a list like this ever again if I can help it. Like, comment, subscribe down below. Also, a big happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen, to all you at the Game Hub, for all my viewers, for the couple that I have and any viewers I have coming. And next month, it's my birth month, so it's going to be a lot of some videos that I really enjoy, and some topics that are always fun for me. And again, I'm going to be wearing... Now, you know what? I'm going to keep this for just October. Yeah. So, join me next week where we begin the month of November with a video of something I haven't done in a good couple months. It's time to get back into the figurine reviewing, and we're going to start off with a bird-headed hero that has a special place in my shadowy heart. This is Gamer K, logging out.